Hi, welcome to the Gas Club, the first in a new series of conversations with people who make things, be that music or devices or instruments. First up is Hugh Jones from Fieldtone Instruments. Hugh and I have worked together now for a couple of years. It's been a great pleasure. Soundgas helping bring his products, the Box of Uncertainty and the Weaver, to the market, and I want to talk to Hugh about the process behind that and really get a bit of a window into his world and understand something of the person who's driven to create such unusual and interesting pieces. I hope you'll enjoy the conversation. Hi, Hugh.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. Welcome to Soundgas. Your first time at Soundgas.
I'm very excited. Very excited after so many conversations and seeing all this stuff on Instagram and elsewhere. It's nice to be here.
Well, it's great. It feels like this is well overdue, isn't it? Because we've been working together for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's it.
So for those who don't know, Hugh is from Fieldtone and makes the Box of Uncertainty and the Weaver handheld sampler, and also fresh this week, coming next year, announcement is the Weaver modular. Is that what it's called?
Exactly.
Weaver module. I've been using the Box of Uncertainty and the Weaver since they've been in existence, and absolutely love them. So, and we've been working together for a couple of years, and we only met for the first time at Machinery Bristronica, as the T-shirt, earlier this year. In fact, it's only a couple of months ago, isn't it? So really, really great to have you at Soundgas, and we'll have a bit of a tour around.
Sounds good.
Just bringing Hugh in to say hello to you guys.
Hello,
How you doing? Yeah, nice to see you.
Great
Nice
to
meet
see you.
I really love all of the quotes and stuff that you have from customers up here, and we're saying that I should try and collate all the reviews that I'm getting as well, so that if I'm ever having a bad day, you can just get those out and feel good about the stuff that you're doing.
It is really nice having them on the wall, because if you're having a bad day or sometimes it's trying, and you just look up and go, yep, okay, that's why we do this. That belongs to my friend Martin, who's moving house. When he got it, I was like, really want to play with that crazy Italian accordion.
I was going to say, what were we even looking at here? Okay.
So it's an Elka, a Concord 90, and it's basically a preset synthesizer with a percussion box, the most amazing phaser, motor effects, phasing, rotary, blah, blah, blah. And then you play it like an accordion.
Yeah.
This is going to be a studio, demo room, shop window. We're going to actually make that like a shop window. And at the moment, it's where Job does a lot of his testing and demoing. We started a little bit of a museum of the Soundgas 636 series.
Is this your new preamp pedal?
Well spotted. There was one working prototype in existence that went to a very good friend of ours, and he's tested it out and come back with a bit of feedback. And I think this might actually be the second one. So this is the Type G. It's not finished.
Yeah, you've got quite a lot of interest in those, haven't you?
Yeah. So you met Ollie. That's Ryan, our chief workshop technician, trying to find those elusive transistors that actually work in the P2. Yeah. He's got a really, really cool thing on his bench. Wow. That's something I've wanted to try for pretty much all my life. The original Sennheiser vocoder. Did you see the auction of his gear that happened last week?
No.
It was kind of slightly sad. It was Florian Schneider, wasn't it? It was literally everything: his suits, his instruments, his studio gear, the two Kraftwerk Sennheiser vocoders, his old VW van.
Right.
It was in America. Just crazy.
His wall of
Space Echoes. Yes. Yeah. It is actually considerably tidier in here than it was up until recently.
Do people come to you with them? Do they know that you're the Space Echo to graveyard?
The trouble is we don't have much time to service them for other people. We're so busy with everything that it's something we've done periodically. We sort of usually open up blocks of servicing, but a lot of the time we buy them in, we either modify them and sell them, or they end up sitting here waiting.
Yeah.
James's room is still very much James's room. That's a project he's been on. We've had that for years. Finally, really close to getting it working, fully working. I think they made about 30 of them. According to James, Genesis had one, Kajagoogoo had one. Really rare. No one's really put one online. It's really cool because it's a mixture of analog voices and, that's probably the wrong way around, analog voices and EPROMs. So it's a really interesting sounding machine. Bit of a labour of love, that one. It's
Yeah, but
have a quick look in the warehouse. These are things, mixture of things for sale and my stuff and stuff that we're getting round to working on.
wow.
It's not all ours. The first couple of rows of shelves are a mixture of things that we've been asked to auction that we're sort of in the process of getting moved.
Yard sale.
Yard sale, yeah. We've been talking about having a yard sale for ages.
We're in the sort of the hinterlands of Soundgas here. The fringes.
Yeah, you're deep in here. You know, you're down in the Mekong Delta now. Where, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, you're into the things that I buy, or I vote. You know, I don't know if that's mine or my brother's original Atari. There, that's been with us forever. It was, I think, regarded as unfixable. I think it went up on eBay about 5 times, and nothing ever happened.
Like the sad face sticker.
Yeah, well, that used to be. It was to stop me turning things on and electrocuting myself, because I used to do that too often. I'd get something, I'd be so excited, I'd plug it in, and the guys would text me like, "No, don't do that." It's a miracle I'm still here, really. And my wife Jo, who ended up working in casinos, she had her mum and dad were antiques dealers, so she briefly collected
really good
gambling-related antiques. It's really cool.
Maybe you could use this to decide what needs to be chucked away or what
That's
could
a really
be
good
sold.
idea.
It's just like just rolling
we
the
could just
dice.
do little mini sort of prize draws, and people could have numbers. Right, let's go and have a chat. This is something I've wanted to do for quite some time, Hugh, is actually to sit down with you and talk about how we started working together and what your sort of process and of where you get these ideas for these amazing instruments. Because I think it's fair to say that for me, there's definitely a pre-Fieldtone and a post-Fieldtone musical landscape.
Right. Okay.
Certainly in my music, there is a line at which point things definitely went weirder and more chaotic after Fieldtone.
That's a heavy thing. Yeah, that's really that's
really
amazing.
But it's really it actually they came at the right time for me, because I was already going a long way from a lifetime of MIDI and quantizing and blah 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 blah. And actually wanting things to be freeform, and actually also having the confidence in my own not very good playing, but actually wanting to do stuff that wasn't rigid. And yeah, I think we are now starting to hear. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing stuff now and going, "Oh, there's a Weaver on there." Or occasionally I'm hearing something going, "That sounds like a Box of Uncertainty." So I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming years. But my personal experience of Fieldtone stuff has just been, it's been like a revelation, and it's been those moments of I can never say it, serendipity, those happy accidents, which you kind of, they're the sort of thing that can't happen if you try and manufacture them. Mm-hmm. But actually, it's what we're all really. Those are the magic bits in recording and making music, where something happens because you've done something wrong, or you've made a mistake, or you've plugged 2 pieces of gear in the wrong way, or even just 2 pieces of gear in for the first time. And I think you seem to have, I don't want to say captured, because that's almost like closing it in, but your designs are just like this almost endless stream of happy accidents.
It's an interesting desired outcome, this idea of sort of happy accidents, or there being almost like a kind of infallible human nature injected into technology, when sort of the whole of music tech is sort of designed around, or technology is designed around building something that serves a function and works, and you want it to work, and you want it to be like, if you press this button it does this thing, and every time you press this button it does this thing. It's just sort of what why humans sort of invented technology is so that we have things to help us that are reliable. So therefore, for that desired outcome to be something where actually you don't quite know what the outcome is going to be is actually a bit at odds with sort of how we've, sort of the history of sort of music tech and sort of how it's come about. But I think it is entirely desirable, and not wanting to have exactly the same sound that everybody else has got.
The things that are sparking my interest are the things that are almost anti that sort of thing of like I press a button and the same thing happens every time. I seem to be gravitating towards the things where someone did Jan Sesnek.
Yeah.
I don't know if I pronounced his name right, but he's producing all these weird things that kind of, each time you sample something, then each time you play it, it destroys it a little bit each time. I love that. And it's like, we're surrounded by stuff that doesn't necessarily work the same every time.
Yeah.
Like germanium transistors, there's an element of chaos in there. I wonder if is and maybe this is a really overstating, but it's the weaver and the box of uncertainty. Are these the antidotes to AI, the AI slop that's being generated at a ridiculous level? Because there's no way AI would come up with the weaver.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it certainly wasn't an intended outcome, but maybe
it was a happy accident.
Yeah, it could be. It could just be that we're at the right point in time, and I've sort of maybe hit upon something. Right place, right time, where people might want to diverge from what's sort of happening with AI and sort of sound and music, and it could just be tapping into something there. I mean, the way that I got into tinkering with music tech and electronics and building things was through circuit bending, and that in the very nature of that is like you take something that has been built for a particular purpose that, as we just described, has been designed to work in a set way so that you can learn it and you can master it and you can control it. And you literally take it apart, scramble those systems, rewire it so that generally the outcome is very unpredictable and you don't know. And I just totally fell in love with that process. I thought that was absolutely wonderful, and I fried a lot of keyboards and kids' toys and stuff along the way and made them so that they made no sound anymore at all, which was always a bit sad. But when you do hit upon a little modification or a tweak or something that just sounds wild, it's a thrill, and that really got me hooked. And I'm really grateful to have this conversation with you now. I'm really pleased that we're doing it because, you and Soundgas and, you in particular have been totally intrinsic into how Fieldtone has come about, because although I've built instruments for many years, I had always just built them for myself. So as a sort of performing and practicing musician, I would say, okay, there's something missing that I would like to have on stage or I'd like to use for my composition. So I'd build it, particularly sort of MIDI control and that kind of thing. Be like, I want to be able to perform something on stage, but be able to perform it, physically away from the laptop. It might be the laptop that's doing the heavy lifting in terms of the processing and the control, but actually being able to physically interact with it. I quite quickly got a bit fed up with what was on offer off the shelf, basically, with just basically knobs, sliders, buttons and keys in various different combinations. It was like, okay, can we build something a bit more interesting? And you've already mentioned Jan Sesnek, but I think Jan probably wouldn't mind me saying that he and I have sort of come from the same camp, and we've done a lot of work together over the years, and we've toured together over the years, and we've shared projects and shared information and ideas a lot, and we still do now. But he really sort of opened my eyes up to different ways of kind of gestural control. And he does fascinating things with sound and interaction, and also this idea of kind of imperfect ways of sort of achieving that. So anyway, I had been building things for myself, occasionally getting the odd commission from people who might want something quite specific, a specific MIDI controller, or maybe they'd seen something that I'd built for myself and they asked, could they have something similar, or could they commission something along those lines? And that's sort of how our relationship started, wasn't it? Because I was building some little standalone sort of loopers, little kind of looper samplers. I think what I play quite a lot of folk music, and I wanted to make something that I could make a drone on that then I could play along to. So I made some things that did that. But then if you just fed sort of non-musical sounds, speech, found sound, whatever it might be, into them, then you get these quite interesting soundscapes. So I posted some videos of that on my socials, and then you reached out. And
I was aware of you, I think, because you worked with Matthew Herbert for a long time, didn't you? And that's how I was aware of you and started following you. And
that's right.
And I think I first sort of messaged you and go, I'd really like something like that a few years ago, and it was probably to the point where you were just building for yourself, or sort of coming up with ideas. And I think you sort of said, oh, you know, maybe I'll. It was one of those replies that was not no, but it was like you weren't at the point where you were ready to do it. And then I think 2-3 years ago, no, it's definitely more than 2 years ago, somewhere, you know, some years ago, you posted something again, and I said, I'd really like you to build me one of those. And you said, yeah, have you got anything to put it in? And my magpie-like tendencies, as Joe would refer to them, I've got better over the years, but I used to just buy things because they looked amazing. And this turned up, and it was an old piece of test equipment, and it got damaged in the post because someone hadn't packed it very well. And so I sent it down to you. I think I sent you a photo first. You went, yeah, I think I could do something with that.
Yeah.
And
although I had that classic thing of when you see a photo of something and it's not until it turns up and you realise how
realise how
massive
big
and
it
heavy
was.
it is. And it's just like, I thought it was like that big. It arrived, I was like, oh, crikey.
oh yeah, those classic internet purchases where you get a sort of ball. I did that once with a ball of string. I got a ball of string this big, and it was like really thick. I would still use it in the garden, but so yeah. So I sent this down to you, and you then, I can't remember how long you had it for, but it came back quite quickly, considering how long I've waited for things from other people in the past. It's this beautiful, beautiful old box, and
It is gorgeous, yeah.
so I'll just slide a Cambridge portable potentiometer. I wanted it because it had things like increased potential. It's kind of already quite a magical thing.
I can see why it caught your eye, because it's absolutely gorgeous, and the box is gorgeous, and but I looked at it and I said, I'm not going to pretend to have a clue what this thing actually is, or I could see that it is some kind of test unit, but how it functions and what it's supposed to do, and obviously it wasn't sort of functioning, and so it was ripe to be repurposed. So all of these knobs and controls that are on here are original. They were here anyway. Where this speaker is now, there was another knob or a big dial or something, so I removed that, replaced that with a speaker, put these two speakers in, so it's stereo. I think these are one side and this is the other side. This thing arrived, and I love the scale of it. I like the feel. It's tactilely extremely pleasing. I think that red. I added that.
That's great. I don't even know if you sent me any idea of what things did. I can't remember.
I think I took a picture of it. Oh. And then wrote on the file.
Yes.
And then just sent you like a JPEG with it sort of written on what the things do.
I need to find that. But obviously that's been lost in the mists of the internet. And I loved the fact that I didn't know what was going to happen, and whatever I did, maybe something interesting had happened, or maybe nothing had happened. So I kind of started. I think I messaged you and said, something along the lines of, you've this wonderful box of uncertainty, or that then became the sort of that was the shorthand for this.
Yeah.
And I guess I must have put something on socials. I can't remember, but I guess I did, and I think I must have had people saying, I really want one of those, because I said to you, you ought to. Have you thought about making these?
Yeah.
Because I generally go on. I have a very, very scientific route to deciding what to buy or sell for Soundgas. If I like it and I want it, I figure someone else probably will. And it seems to work. I get it wrong sometimes. I don't know how long it was between you making this and us having that conversation to you actually sending this.
After years of building instruments for myself and only ever building one-off things, there was never more than one of anything, to then try and turn this into a product which I could make available to people. But yeah, this is the end result, which kept the name, the Box of Uncertainty, which you gave it. I've got to say, I'm glad that we didn't keep the original size and weight.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. When you sort of sent me the first one, which I guess must be this one, because this is the only one I've had.
What's the number on the bottom here?
Number 3, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've got number 1, but number 400 is going to be leaving the workshop soon. So
have we sold 400?
Yeah, almost on 400. Yeah.
So it wasn't a bad idea then.
It's a really good idea.
Shall we see if we can remember how to use this?
Yeah.
Because there was only one photo with instructions on, and I have no idea where that is. And I haven't switched it on for a while, but let's see what happens.
It'll be uncertain.
Ooh, uncertain. Box of uncertainty, box of uncertainty. It's just immediate. It's immediate.
Like, now that we've moved all the knobs, we're still none
the wiser.
To any of them
no.
do.
I actually can't work out. No, we've just broken it. You can imagine why the guy who bought it to use with his guitar as a guitar pedal wasn't very confused.
Yeah, fair enough.
I see the masters of the controls now. I guess when this was made, this was the absolute pinnacle of portability.
You didn't need a whole room just to house it.
There we are, the Box of Uncertainty. From the mind of Hugh comes the Box of Uncertainty. So when you sent this, I mean, I love this, but when you sent this, I was kind of, when we said, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to have a go at this, I was kind of expecting, another metal box with knobs on it and possibly painted nicely. What I wasn't expecting was something that looked as just beautiful. And when you start, I was like, well, you're not going to be able to make loads of these because it's far too, the build process must be really difficult. It's beautiful. And this is actually etched. It's circuit board, isn't it? PCB.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It looks so good. And it's so unlike anything else. And I love the fact that all the knobs don't match. And yeah, it was, as soon as this arrived, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, we're going to be out, we're going to, and it's got, it's lost the increase potential, but it's got things like occult emanation and yeah, it's magic. And well, clearly 400 other people feel the same way. Were you building them in batches of 10 to begin with?
I think the first 50 or 60 that I built, which was just me, whilst I was working another full-time job. So I was just like in the upstairs spare room of my house, which is still where everything's built. But I do have some help now. But yeah, I was just staying up all night and hand soldering everything, all the wires. So in those first sort of 60, there weren't any surface mount components at all. Like everything was hand soldered. All of the wires from everything on the face plates, all of these knobs and controls that are on there were all hand wired. It was an incredibly long process to do them all. But yeah, so through doing that, then I had to learn about things like surface mount technology and just other ways to try and streamline the process, which doesn't change how they function or how they sound at all. It just makes building them quicker. So yeah, even through the sort of the story of these boxes, they have sort of evolved, and I've evolved and learned more how to kind of how to streamline it, basically.
I think only people who set out to make something who don't have a background in commercial manufacturing can understand the true extent of how. I think so. We've been on our own manufacturing journey. We've learnt the very hard way. Learned lessons really the hard way. Still learning, always learning. But I think, and that's what amazed me with this. I was just like, wow, we've been making things for a few years now, and you've just come up with this beautiful object that looks like it. It'd probably have taken. It feels to me it would have taken us forever to make something as beautiful as that, and the process then, you make something. Because we did the same with our 636. We thought we'd only make 10 of them, so they were not designed to be made in quantity. And
well, exactly the same with this.
Yeah,
I mean, when I started out, I thought I will be very happy if I can sell 10 of these. Not really even to try and make money or any designs on it being a business. I was just like, it made me really happy to know that there's 10 of these in people's studios or being used on stage or somewhere out there in the world. Because I'm a musician really. I produce music and perform on stage, and that's my background. I've never done any kind of engineering training or education or anything like that. So designing instruments really just, I see it, it sort of ticks the same creative box as putting a tune together, basically. Yeah. So I do it because I want to do it. It gives me satisfaction. So then building these did the same thing. So then it was only when the demand started coming in for them that I then had to switch mode, learn how to keep up with that demand by streamlining and doing all the rest of it. And so really Fieldtone and the business side of things has grown out of that necessity. I didn't set out to go, right, I'm going to start a company now and I'm going to sell 400 of these things. That wasn't the way in.
I did the same here. I never set out to be a gear dealer. I just bought and sold gear. I bought gear for my studio, and then when I had too much, I'd sell some. Or if I didn't, I'd finish with something. I never set out to be commercial. In fact, sometimes Joe says I'm still not commercial. But, and I think I think it shows, when things, for me, this is a big problem with a lot of modern hardware. It's designed and manufactured, and every consideration is about ease of manufacture, profitability, getting the maximum bang per buck, and it's all about commerciality. That it's driven by a commercial imperative. Then you get these little corners of the music world where things are being made which are driven by a desire to make something interesting, creative, beautiful, tactile. I don't like most modern synths have got far too few big buttons and knobs, and I think that's. You can tell when something's a labour of love.
I very naively, in this process of developing these instruments, I naively thought, okay, I've designed the instrument and how it functions, and I've even done the artwork design and all this kind of thing. Now I've just got to put it in a box. That's going to be easy. Surely, compared to everything else I've done, that'll be really simple. But that was like, because that's when it sort of becomes like sort of product design rather than the kind of instrument design, which is just not my world and sort of not my interest really. As that, then I want it to fit in something. Obviously, I really want it to look good. Don't just want it to necessarily just be in like a plastic case. But yeah, trying to work out how that would work, how that would fit, how that would put in. So I mean, I ended up reaching out to this guy. Mark, goes under Curly Mark, he's a laser cut sort of artist. Well, he's an artist. He works in all sorts of different mediums, but he does a lot of laser cut work. He sort of, hand builds all of these enclosures for me out of his studio near Chichester.
Yeah, it's the you can see the precision. It's the sort of thing that if you were doing this by hand, it would we'd be selling these for £1,000.
Yeah, there's still a lot of skill and a lot of love that goes into them. But he can make them reasonably quickly, and they look really nice. It's not the kind of small plasticky box that you're talking about.
I know there will be people who've bought these and maybe don't use them as much as they thought they would, but just you just want it around. It's a beautiful thing, and I think that's again something that's really lost in a lot of modern manufacturing is creating something that is as beautiful to look at and to touch as it is to hear. So at what point did you think there's another product to come after the Box of Uncertainty, or did it come before the Box of Uncertainty?
Yeah, so the Box of Uncertainty basically jumped the queue a bit. I had been sort of working on the Weaver for a while, or the idea of the Weaver came first, with the idea being something that was handheld, portable. So it's got a headphone amp built into it. It can be battery powered. It's got built-in microphone. That had been sort of my focus for a while, and I knew that's what I wanted to build. Again, I was just going to build them for myself, and then this happened with you, and then you sort of said about that we should turn this into a product. So that sort of jumped the queue, and I did that first, and that got we made the first of these Box of Uncertainties available in March 2024, and then the Weaver finally was ready in September 2024.
You said something about I've got some prototype boards. I was like, please send me one.
Please.
And this is my original Weaver prototype, and it literally came as just a board with knobs on, and almost yes, like that. That's yours.
Yeah.
As soon as I got it, I was immediately making music, sounds, noises. I was absolutely addicted. I'd been working on a track, which was me playing guitar, which is never really a pretty thing. And I literally played a bit of that track and recorded it into this. And I had headphones on, and I had to go literally run downstairs and get my handheld recorder and plug into it to record what was coming out, because I couldn't believe that I was like, this is incredible. It was the first thing that came out of it.
Yeah.
What was the original thinking behind the Weaver?
So the idea is, so as I said, that it would be portable, be handheld, and it would be something. I always sort of imagined it as a sort of sonic version of a camera, or more specifically, like a sonic version of like a film camera or like a Polaroid, where you get instant. Whatever you capture, you then get the feedback instantaneously. So with the built-in microphone, it captures 2 seconds of sound. That's a fixed amount of time that it records. Captures 2 seconds of sound, and then instantly turns that into little musical ideas, so textures or rhythms, and you can randomize the way that the sound is being played back, so you can change how the sound is being played back to you. And other than that, there's no control over it whatsoever. So like the most amount of control that the user has is deciding what to point the microphone at. That's the most important, crucial bit of control. So unlike like a handheld Zoom recorder, which obviously incredibly useful, capturing field recordings, and everyone tends to have one of those these days, are really great. But this idea that you sort of take it out and you record loads of stuff, infinite amounts of stuff, so that when you get back to the studio, you'll listen to it all, decide what to work with, chop it up. It's like sort of the opposite of that. It's like in the moment, whether you're at your guitar or using your voice, or you're out on a hike or whatever it might be, you sort of remix the world around you in real time whilst you're in the location, rather than I'll capture it, I'll go back to the studio, and then I'll start working with it. Because by then, it's just a different method of working, basically. So that's the original idea behind it, and I really took the sort of film camera.
It's such a great
analogy.
Companion to this, isn't it?
Yeah. When I first built my original prototypes and had that thing of like, okay, what enclosure do I put it into? It's like, oh, maybe I'll put it into an old box camera. So this is an original prototype. So I've got the microphone where the lens would be, and this prototype actually has stereo speakers built into it that originally with my designs, the Weaver would have built-in speakers, which is something that it doesn't have in the end. It's got a headphone amp, but not built-in speakers. So this just sits on my mantelpiece now. But we turned it on before, and it did actually give us some sound. We'll see if it will still do that.
Of course, is it like the Weaver? You just turn it on and it's recording what I'm saying, or you
so this is like the Weaver knob here.
Yeah.
So if we turn this on now, here we go. So a lot more work was done on it since this. So this is a very early kind of prototype of the idea. So it's just sort of spitting out little rhythms. It sounds like C3PO or something like that. But we could capture a bit of our voice as we're talking.
You do realise that there's going to be loads of people going, I want a Weaver like that, because I'm sitting here going, I want a Weaver like that. I love the immediacy of having the speakers, because for me the Weaver, my Weaver that I use now, I have this, I then have my handheld recorder, the cable that goes out of the Weaver into the handheld recorder. They have to be together and always have lots of battery packs, and a pair of headphones obviously to hear what's going on. I can literally, it's almost too much sometimes. It's better than a human working on a modular system for me, because it just seems to, it feels like there's like a little extra person in your musical world that actually is doing something kind of really clever and musical. And I don't know, I've got no idea about the programming, but it kind of has a voice. The Weaver has a voice. When you get to know it really well, it has a character.
Definitely has a character. Yeah, I think particularly with the new modular version that we can talk about in a minute, the rhythmic mode really kind of comes into its own.
It reminds me of Synthy Hi-Fi as well, because if you get a sound you like, you must record it, because the chances are you'll never get quite the same sound again.
There's no save functionality. The sort of the way that they operate encourages you to move forwards, and there is no going back. There's no like finding something you really like, moving the dial, and then going, oh no, actually I'll go back to what I had. It's like, it's gone.
You have to commit. It's like if I hear something on this and I'm like, oh, that's amazing, I have to record it, because I know that there's no way of keeping it otherwise.
Yeah, this sort of analogy of like a film camera. Originally you would have whatever it is, 36 photographs that you can take, not like an iPhone where it's like I'll take
every photo that I can.
Yeah, even like every time you take one photo, you take it 15 times, and you're like, oh, I'll go back and pick the best one, and you rarely do that. You just end up with so much data and so many copies of things. Whereas when you had to make a choice about taking one photo because you've only got 36 or 37 or whatever it is, and then it's going to be quite time consuming and costly to go and get them developed. And, so it's actually about trying to, you would take care over what you chose to take pictures of. So trying to bring a bit of that sort of care and attention, really about being in the moment rather than I'll get loads because I'll make decisions later, instead of deferring part of the creative process. It's like, oh, just be in the moment now. And a lot of the time when if I'm playing along with a Weaver, using it as my collaborative partner, and I'm performing with it, or just practicing with it at home, I'll get a really nice loop, or something and I'll be playing an instrument along with it, and I think, oh, I'm really liking this, I should record it. And then, quite a lot of the time these days, I go, actually, just going to enjoy playing along with it for a bit, and then I'll just move on to something else, and it's okay. It's like I don't necessarily have to capture everything. It's but then I do think about those things. Like, maybe I should
have recorded that. As soon as I got mine and got into it, I was going travelling for a couple of weeks, and so it had to go in a case. So this is my case, which was made out of I'll put your Fieldtone sticker on the back. It's a mangled Tupperware type food container, and yeah, I wanted something that would work and had a hole in it, so I got an old iPhone case because I needed something that was flexible. Yeah, so it's a bit of an iPhone case, and I found it was getting too hot. So originally that went over there, but it was getting too hot, and it used to fail. It used to stop working, and eventually realised it was because it was getting hot. I think you might have. I don't know if you told me that, or you said it might be getting hot.
Yeah.
So I cut that in, and I took it away with me and was recording with it, and the early prototype, quite noisy, quite clicky. I did a lot of stuff with slowing the recordings down, and so immediately there was a world in this thing that totally appealed to me. I ended up doing live performances. I called myself Uncertain Explorations because basically it was based around two Weavers and a box of Uncertainty, and then I think I had my Soma Terror, and it was my friend, some friends of mine who'd run a new label called Dealey Recordings. They were starting to do these events, and they said, "Will you come and play?" And I didn't have much time to prepare. I was like, "Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this." I'd been kind of messing around at home. I'm going to do something completely unprepared and start with. I think I took a xylophone or something along and pinged it into the box of Uncertainty, and then I had a poetry trainer that went into maybe the poetry trainer went into the box of Uncertainty, something else into the Weaver. And that was literally it. My live performance was completely unprepared, which for me, as someone who's not a competent, I wouldn't describe myself as being particularly competent musically on any instrument. It was such a revelation. I really enjoyed it. And actually, the first gig I did, I got a real strong reaction from people. Nice, in a nice way, not like, Jesus, this is rubbish.
Not walking out.
People really enjoyed it. I was in the zone. It was only a really small gig, and I was using these things, and a car alarm went off outside, and I saw one of my pals who was in the front row. He smiled as well because it went off, and it was perfectly in key and perfectly in time.
Love that.
And it was it's giving me goosebumps because it was those moments, that couldn't be captured. Yeah, it wasn't recorded like that, but they're really magic. And I've seen people using their Weavers in different ways than, like Steve Cobby, seeing him using it to play the drums too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, as soon as I'd not thought of that. I'd not thought of actually using it as my accompaniment to when I'm playing the guitar. I hadn't even, I'd not done that. I'd not played the guitar to it. I played the synth to it.
Yeah. Instead of just putting a metronome on and just rehearsing to a metronome, it's like, you can just put the Weaver on, because then you don't know if you put it in rhythm mode. It's like using a metronome that actually gives you a kind of musical rhythm, and every time you turn the knob, it totally randomizes the tempo, so you don't know what speed you're going to be playing at. So actually, it's a great sort of tool for improvising and rehearsing. But yeah, I never ever imagined it being used in that way. So then seeing him do that, it's just I mean, that's the best, when you see somebody taking a tool that you've designed and using it in a way that you hadn't imagined. It's just awesome.
I think you said something like, you might, or maybe I made this up, but sort of like anyone from the age of 8 to 80 can use it. We were on a family holiday last Easter in Cornwall. We got so lucky. We were in Cornwall and we had a week of perfect, beautiful weather. We sat outside and there was a bird singing. I think was it a wren? I can't remember what bird it was. Kept coming and sitting in the tree and singing, and it was beautiful. And I got my Weaver with me. I thought, I'm going to record that, and I recorded it. I had my headphones on, and it was just beautiful. And so I'd got my mum there, who was in her 80s. I'd got my niece, nephews, and my kids, and they were all putting the headphones on and playing with this thing. And my mum was blown away by it. It's such a, it's genuine. I think these things you've sprinkled some sort of magic in there. There is something magical going on with what happens in the circuitry, and obviously it's a mixture of analog and digital circuitry. Obviously the brain is digital because it's a sampler, but I guess maybe now's the time to talk about where this is going next, because I know pretty soon after I mean, it's classic. As soon as I get an instrument, I'm like, right, okay, how can we make this different, better, or more complicated?
Yeah.
I'm like the complete that I would never have come up with this because it's far too simple and easy to use and gloriously uncomplicated. That's probably more like the sort of thing I might come up with. But I was like, oh, I wish I could get control over the speed of that and the sound, you know, and I noticed there's like reverbs and delays in there. It would be really good if we could split those off. Could I had three? Could you do one with three outputs and,
Yeah.
or, you know, classic? And you were like, no, I'm going to stick with the plan. And you were absolutely right to stick with the plan because. So let's, you know, we've touched on, you know, we're into number 400 of the Box of Uncertainty. I almost hesitate to ask how many weavers.
Oh yeah, a lot. We've done a lot. I mean, we're up to 1,700 weavers.
Incredible. What took you from simplicity to big reveal to complexity? What was the motivation to, firstly, to put it? I mean, it kind of. I'm not surprised it's now in modular form, but
it's so we've reached this sort of through demand from various angles. So you were the first person to request more features on the Weaver, which, as you said, I was sort of reluctant to think about, really, because one of the things that the defining characteristics of it is it's you know, like a one knob sampler is the shorthand description for it, which is what it is. You know, there is only one knob, and the reason why I like the lack of features is to make it as accessible as possible. You know, this idea that someone like you or I, who is very into music technology, can get a lot out of it, but so can an 8-year-old, or so can an 80-year-old. It's really universal. I mean, I've you know, I've had conversations with some charities who work with visually impaired people and you know, SEN kids and that kind of thing, and you know, and I've sent some to them, and they work, you know, it works really well in those kind of settings as well, workshop settings. I've got a couple of Box of Uncertainties that are about to go out to some artists who are working in Deptford and running some kind of community workshop settings and that kind of thing, and so people who really are not in this world at all, but need a way in very quickly. You know, in an environment like that, if it takes half an hour lecture to teach someone how to use something, it's no good. It's got to be really immediate, and that's what I really like about this. And it was a really important part of the design that it was immediate. However, different people have been asking me for different features. I mean, I think it's part and parcel with building instruments, is that people would really like if it did this particular thing or it did this particular thing. But a lot of people had said to me, you should make a Eurorack modular version of the Weaver. I got that request a lot. So that, alongside conversations that I'd had with you about potential other features and to other people about potential other features, I then combined those two things. I think at one point we were talking about, maybe we could make an expanded Weaver studio version or something like that. So all of those kind of conversations combined into what is now the Weaver modular for Eurorack. Keeps all of the exact same features that the Weaver has, so it's still one knob control, it's still all about randomization, it's all about chance. We still have the texture and rhythm mode, we still have the built-in microphone, which was something that I didn't know whether it quite fit the Eurorack model, but I wanted to keep it in there.
That's a really good idea.
So then the additional control that we've got is, you have level control for 3 different elements of any given loop. So essentially, you conjure up through the Weaver knob, through the microphone or whatever you've sent it, you now have some mix control over different elements. So it might be that, you really like the delayed bit that you were talking about before, but actually you don't want the other stuff. You could just, you can mix between the different elements. There's now 3 trigger outputs again, so the 3 different elements of the loop generating rhythms. These are CV trigger outs. Ooh. So this is for triggering other modules,
other Weavers.
triggering other sounds or anything that can be controlled via kind of CV gate or trigger control. You can trigger from there.
That's amazing. That immediately makes me want to have three weavers and control one from the other, because then, it's a whole world of uncertainty.
So you can, if you just don't have anything plugged into the audio output or have the volume control completely down on all of these three, you can just use it as a random rhythm generator to control other modules. You don't need to be using the sampling capability at all.
Presumably those would trigger, like, I've got a few nice old drum synths. Would they trigger a drum synth?
If it's looking for a control voltage trigger, then yeah, it would.
Or I could definitely convert it to something, so I could use it to triggering my old analog drum synths. Wow.
All of the audio is still just coming out of the left and right, so stereo output, which is split. This was my main wish list for the Weaver, like feature wish, was a switch to be able to change the pitch of what is generated. On the standalone Weaver, handheld Weaver, in rhythm mode, the pitch is totally random.
Yes.
And in texture mode, the pitch is always sympathetic to the root note of whatever you sampled into it.
That's why I use texture all the time, because I find it musically makes sense to me.
But now you can make texture mode pitch totally random, and you can make rhythm mode pitch aligned to the root note.
All these years, I've resisted going modular.
Me too.
I'm going to have to go modular for the Weaver.
So the company that builds this enclosure,
4MS.
4MS, yeah. It's called the Pod series, and this is a sort of medium-sized one. I think they do one that's like half the size of this. They build them so that you can daisy chain the power, so they already are expecting you to want to add more.
They know how this goes. This is your gateway.
Exactly.
I'm kind of almost a natural modular person, because I always want to control things differently. I want modifications. The modulation stuff in modular, it's so up my street, but it was a customer of ours. He was an amazing customer. He bought loads of gear off us, and then he suddenly stopped. And about 6 months later, we were in touch. And I said, "Did we upset you?" And he went, "No, mate, I went modular." And he sent me a photo of his studio, and it's just like a wall of modular. And I was like, that's me. If I go modular, that's me. So for once, I've actually been really restrained. Joe would be really proud of me that I've not gone modular. So,
well, I'm sorry if this is going to be the catalyst of you.
If you come back in a year's time and there's like a wall of modular, it's all your fault. As a non-modular person, I'm curious what you felt were the right accompaniments for your. Because I'm immediately thinking I just want a box that does that. But
yeah, if you're saying that you have some analog drum machines and stuff that take control in, it could be that you just expand it out elsewhere. But this, it'd be nice to get this plugged in and
we'll do it.
We'll do a little demo. But obviously, everybody will have their own idea of how they want to, if they want to get a modular Weaver, how it would incorporate into this setup. But I think, as I said before, I played quite a lot of acoustic folk music, and I wanted to make a little self-contained modular setup based around the modular Weaver that would allow me to improvise and play along with some acoustic instrumentation built into it. So I've got here the instrument interface, so you can plug a microphone or an instrument straight in. I'd then take the output of that into the audio in on the Weaver. From ADDAC, this is to take pedal control, so you can put any standard expression pedal and any standard sustain pedal, and then get CV and trigger output. So then I can control the recording of the Weaver using a foot switch and control the Weaver knob with an expression pedal. So main Weaver knob, you can either control it with the knob itself or with external CV.
Because that's one of the features we've had requests for. People go, could I actually just be able to trigger the box of uncertainty or the Weaver recording using a foot switch? Because if you're playing acoustic guitar or any instrument that requires a couple of hands, you're struggling a bit.
You can control the recording of the Weaver with any trigger from your modular setup. Yes. So you can send that a clock and it'll re-record at the start of each bar. You could send any kind of CV to the main Weaver knob. Now, I realised during the development of this, if you send just a gate trigger to there, it's pulling the signal right back down to 0. So essentially pulling this knob back down to 0. So then it's getting rid of the sample every time.
Right.
So I've built in a little feature that if you have the knob on here turned to maximum, that would disengage that. So then you can just send it a trigger and it'll shift the algorithm
without dumping the sound.
Without dumping the sound.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's like a little hack around that.
Wow.
So yeah, within the setup here, I'm controlling it by foot switches, but you don't need to be using foot switches. You can control that with any CV from your setup. Something else really nice on this module here is that you can set a threshold for the audio input to send out a trigger. So if you're plucking a guitar, each pluck could send out a trigger, and then you could use that to change the record, so as you're actually playing, you can shift the algorithm of the Weaver or re-record what you're playing back in using what you're playing as the. You can see how deep you can get into these things. This module from Electrosmith, this is something that you can program basically, so it doesn't do anything until you program it to do.
Right.
So I'm using this as a bit of a. To basically do everything else that I want from my setup. So I'm sending my clock from here to clock the Weaver. Then I have a bass line, which is triggered from another of the Weaver trigger outs. This is the volume for that. This is the pitch control for that. And then
where's the bass line being played? Where are you getting it from? What's playing the bass line? Is it an external bit of gear? Or?
No, so so choose one of these triggers. Yeah. Every time it receives a trigger, it'll play the next note in a randomized bass line that I've sort of programmed on. Wow. Here. And then here I've got a kick drum. This is the volume for the kick drum, which again I'll use another trigger out from here to trigger the kick drum.
I'm looking forward to hearing this in action.
And you're really going to like this. This is a stereo mixer, and it's called Nearness.
Right.
So it's a stereo mixer in the smallest possible Eurorack format. This is your left output. This is your right output.
Yeah.
The one in the middle will be mono in the centre. Slightly left, slightly right, slightly more left, slightly more right, full left, full right.
That's brilliant. Now you're all set up. I'm looking forward to hearing. What's the instrument you're playing?
This is a mandola.
A mandola, is that sort of like somewhere between a mandolin and what is it?
It's like what a mandolin. So a mandolin is in the same register as a violin. This is the same as a viola.
Oh. You're going into the preamp here.
Yeah.
And then out of this into
the Weaver, so we can sample that. And then the trigger outputs from the Weaver, the three of them, we've got one controlling a little sample on here, and one controlling a bass line that we need to get the pitch of, and one controlling a kick drum. And then we've got the clock that's controlling the tempo of the Weaver.
Wow, away you go. I'm looking forward to this. Is that a sample of a thumb piano?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's getting triggered by one of the... Put it into rhythm mode. So that's re-recording so re-triggering the recording using a foot switch that I've got down here. bring in some kick drum. And try some bass line.
Wow. So that's literally the trigger coming out of the Weavers controlling the bass.
Yeah.
Well, the synth sound, because it's not just bass, is it? It's
Exactly.
going all over the place. It's amazing.
And that is that.
Just immediately opening up the world of the Weaver into, you know, what was already full of possibilities. A single, or even dare I say, 2 or 3 modules is just, that's incredible. It's going to be. I can't wait. I can't wait to get one in a box and start triggering old bits of gear with it.
Yeah, I think that'd be quite interesting. Yeah, using the trigger outs to trigger some non-modular stuff as well. Again, that's already something that I hadn't sort of thought of it.
I kind of look back and think if I'd got into it early, Soundgas would probably be a modular synth company, because it is so exciting and so open and so constantly evolving. I just do modular with rack gear, and I sort of take something out of my rack and put something else in. It's really exciting, and as someone who likes really weird, complicated effects chains, again, it's just heaven, isn't it?
It's just nice and neat, because it's obviously all fits in within the same format. All of these things which have come from totally different companies, different people, all run off one power supply.
Yeah.
Super portable.
For those who are watching, they're coming early 2026.
First couple of months is when people who are pre-ordering now will get the first modules.
And yeah, they're selling unsurprisingly quickly.
You can get them in these. So these are the 3 different colour
Yes.
options. So these are all identical. They function in exactly the same way. You can just get it in pink, green, or black.
My next question, and you feel free to not to be cagey about this, but I guess where next? Are we going to see a modular box of uncertainty, or maybe the Weaver kind of gets you enough of that in the modular world?
I'm working on another instrument at the moment, which is quite far on in its development. Not quite ready to fully announce yet, but I'm working with the producer composer Matthew Herbert, who I've worked with for years and years. I've worked for him for a long time in various capacities. I've run his record label and been his stage and studio tech. I've done all sorts for him basically, but he and I are working on something together.
I'm very excited.
The next thing after that, which I'm really keen to spend a good chunk of next year on, is quite out there.
Excellent.
And quite weird.
Excellent.
And it's not a sampler.
Wow.
That's as much as I'm going to say about that yet.
Do you know what? Quite out there and quite weird is... that could be your strapline, couldn't it? Fieldtone instruments, quite out there and quite weird. Well, that's exciting, and I think I hope that clearly the continued, Weavers are not showing any sign of slowing down. We've launched these and people are going, when are the next lot of Weavers coming? And that's again 2026. I think for me the exciting part of this, apart from the simple joy of enjoying new instruments that open up all sorts of possibilities, is seeing how how this is developing from sort of wherever it is, the box down there, to the camera, to these products, and actually where we go next. I am very excited about the next product, because it's something I'm personally really looking forward to using. It gives me hope for the future that you're coming up with these things that are different and weird and out there, and yeah, the description of the future non-sampler instrument as being weird and out there.
Yeah, and that really, that thing, I don't want to be annoying for people to be cryptic about stuff, talking about something without actually being able to fully talk about it, but that really is me going back to building something that I want to build for myself.
Great.
And I'm like, will anybody else care about this at all? It doesn't matter, because it's not the reason for building it.
And that's something that's taken me a very long time to learn about creativity, about making music. Make music for you, that you enjoy and that speaks to you and that is true to you. And you may not sell 1 million. I mean, very few people sell 1 million records, but you will find there are other people it speaks to. Mm. I found that with the Uncertain Explorations gigs. I just thought, this is, as Joe referred to it as, Dad's down in the cellar making his weird noises again. And that's right. One of my sons said, Dad's doing a gig. And he thought I was DJing, because that's what I used to do. He's like, he's not done a gig for ages. And Joe just said, no, he's making those weird noises that come out of the cellar. And I think he was quite surprised that, and I was surprised.
Like, you mean he's going to do that in public?
Yeah, yes, exactly. And actually, they came to one of the gigs and they really enjoyed it. I think it was a little bit more structured, but it was still very out there. And I think this sort of make things that speak to you, because if you try and make things for other people, yeah, you can particularly products, you can go, well, I'm going to make a drum machine, and I think people want X, Y, and Z, and there are, how many new drum machines are there out there, and I still haven't found one that I really like. Of all the modern drum machines, actually, that's not true. There is one I really like, and that's kind of a similar story to this. The guys who make the Beat Friend, who I think you probably
I met them in Bristol. Yeah, really great.
As soon as it was a similar thing. As soon as I saw them, I was like, but why can't it have individual outputs? Why can't we have this, and this? Missing the point completely, that the simplicity makes it an absolute joy to use.
Yeah.
And I think if people follow that singular desire and passion and I'm going to make this because I want to see this come out into the world, where you lead, others will follow. You may think it's really weird and not something that everyone will like, but actually, as we've found with the Box of Uncertainty and the Weavers, there's a real audience. There are at least 1,500. There are 1,900 weirdos out there who like this stuff.
Yeah. That's what I keep thinking. It's like, there's got to be a finite amount of people in the world who want these kind of esoteric devices, but
probably
there will be, but there's a lot of them, it turns out.
Yeah, it turns out there are a lot of people out there who like things that are a bit odd. And yeah, so it's been a real pleasure to sort of be part of this journey, and I feel it's one of the things that we can do well, is use our sort of reach and our expertise in sort of getting stuff around the world to help launch new products into the world. And it has been, this has been, we neither of us thought that we'd be sitting here talking about these products like we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been really fun, and I'm really excited about what the future is, and I am very excited about what comes next, because I know it's going to be something that I'm going to really enjoy, and if I enjoy it and you enjoy it, there's probably a few others out there who'll enjoy it. I just want to thank you firstly for creating these amazing instruments, and making me disappear down to the cellar and spend a lot of hours making strange noises and keeping me away from the family, which they seem to be quite happy about. And just for for your enthusiasm and support, and I look forward to 2026 with Fieldtone, and I think we're going to make some wild noises.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, thank you for making sure that other people have heard about them rather than them just sitting on my shelf with all of the other things that I've made that just sit there gathering dust.
Well, maybe we need to dust off those shelves and see what else is on there. But it is an absolute pleasure, and thanks for coming on the Gas Club. And it's been a real pleasure talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Stay tuned for the next episode.